let's do a little review and rating of the 2024 Glen Ellyn Skatepark. While I have a lot of negative things to say, there's also a couple positive things to talk about, so we will go over all of those things. I'll also take you around the park and show you all the ramps and everything like that, so do stay tuned for that. This is a skate park that kind of like shaped who I am. It's how I built a lot of friends around this area, just coming to this park. And now we've reached a point where almost no one I know is here and very few people show up. There's a lot of little kids that show up, and I think it's just interesting to see the age group of a skate park kind of go down. But you know, as people get older, that is kind of a practice that has to happen so that it can build younger generations. And with that being said, I do feel that this park has a bit of a risk for younger generations of people that are trying to learn to skate. And that's what I want to talk about and show you maybe some things that can also help that, while there's a lot of things that don't help that at this skate park. When they originally had the old Glen Ellyn Skatepark, they had a nice little box layout. I'll show you that I used to skate, would learn some tricks on it. It was a nice height. And once I got a little better at that, I was able to move on to the rail. So that was also a nice feature. And the whole park was made of this material. It's called Skate Light, which wasn't very slippery. And now we've reached kind of a slippery state of this park. So let's show you a little bit of that. One of the main points I always bring up with this park is how slippery this half pipe is. And it's extremely hard for people that are trying to learn to skate to even want to practice, because of the chances of falling over have increased because of the material. So let's show you that. This is an all metal park, and you might be able to see the metal ramp right here. Another thing is how close this coping is to the ramp. There's really not much separation there. Why is that a bad thing? It's because it makes it that much harder for your trucks to be able to actually lock in, which almost makes it virtually impossible to be able to even lock in the first place to even skate the half pipe. So it's kind of like a useless part of this whole park now, which is very unfortunate. It was an old favorite at the old park because you didn't even slip on that material, and they had coping you could actually lock into. And so much so that I was watching friends learn new tricks all the time. And now this is like the most avoided thing at the park, at least in my eyes, from when I've been here since they've rebuilt it. I'm gonna be kind of intermingling between the good and the bad as I talk about this skate park, mainly because it has a little bit of both. Even though the bad does outweigh the good, we will kind of just go back and forth here. While this park might be geared towards having a younger crowd come into it, there's a flyout ramp right here, which when I was growing up, flyout ramps are excellent. They're a lot of fun. You can get a lot of air. However, the problem at this one comes in right where the ground meets the ramp, and you have this kind of bump feeling on your wheels, and you lose a lot of speed. It's scary. You think you might clip it. I'll show you that right now. You can see how the material begins to lift and the ground starts to chip right at that area. This one should be really obvious by now, but if you take a look at the ground, it's a totally fresh paved ground. And yes, there's a lot of room, even just around me right now, to hit a couple flat ground tricks, practice your flat ground, and there's even an area back there that you can do a lot of that with, that we'll get to in a little bit, but let's explore the rest of the park first. They've kind of mimicked the roll-in from the last park, and they have a nice bank, which is great for getting speed. That gets you speed for this flyout that I just mentioned, and this section. Let's show you the hip. This is a pretty low hip. I mean, look at where I'm at right now. Look how small it is. You can tell that it's a pretty good hip for learning, so I guess there is that end of it, but the problem is the landing. It's a very slick landing, so it makes you a little bit almost nervous to try a new trick. Whereas the other one, if you barely landed something, you'd kind of stick on it, and that was nice because you felt more comfortable to practice a new trick. One of the main complaints was immediately taken care of upon building the new park, and that is the fence being gone. If it were right now with the old park, I wouldn't be able to come in here. There'd be a fence locking it up, but this does open it up to bikes, scooters, any other sort of thing like that, which can put a much larger damage on the park over time. In fact, I see a bike laying over there. What I wanted to talk about here is the rail. So the rail is a decent height. You can see right here, it's probably about knee height, which ultimately is about the average height for a down rail or a bumped rail at a skate park for learning and maybe get a little bit better. You can drop in on this quarter pipe area that I'll show you in a second. So I guess in that case, it's nice for that, but it's a round rail, which is ultimately a little bit harder than if it were a flat rail. So I do wish it was flat. I find that a little bit interesting, but there is actually a flat rail on this side. Now, we'll show you that in a second too, but let's show you the quarter pipe. The old Glen Ellyn Skatepark used to have a really tall quarter pipe in that far corner over there that people would drop in on and kind of go to the flyout area and come back over, and it was just like a fun little run, right? But now they've kind of redid it, but it's now to hit the fly-out box right here. And honestly, it doesn't really mimic that so much. The other one wasn't with the intent to fly, it was more to get speed so that you could wrap around the park and come back and hit the box so it kind of all flowed together, if you will. This doesn't really do that. This is just kind of for one run and done. So it's a little bit not interesting to me, if I'm being totally honest. It's another thing that keeps me away from this park, on top of a lot of the other things I'm already mentioning. There's another section back here, and we'll get to that in a second. But let's real quickly talk about the flat rail and the round rail A-frame section. This is the hilarious Rick and Morty spine they installed. This side doesn't have the Rick and Morty design, the other side does. And there's a A-frame right here, the round rail and a square rail. But in my opinion, that square rail is like bike height. It's very strange. It's not that hard to get on, I suppose, if you skate. But it's not like the typical rail we look forward to skating, and not what your average skate park has. Now, while American Ramp Company does build other parks with rails like this, I just don't see a need for the overall skater here to want to hit this. I mean, you can roll up it, you can roll down, but even then, the way the metal sticks up and meets the ground, you still have that same feeling with your wheels, and it just kind of cuts away at the fun. It needs some sort of flashing or something like that, but I think all of this park needs a different ramp material. There's gonna be people that say, oh, why don't you skate it then? It's because I'm literally afraid to skate this park. I'm a 28-year-old man who's been skating for what, 12 years now? And I'm actually afraid to skate this park, so much so that I didn't even bring my board in here with me. I'll skate anywhere else but here. I just feel like I'm gonna get hurt 24/7. So when I do come here, I hit this part of the park and I'll hit the rail for a little bit, and that's it. I don't even like the box. Let's show you that. Here's what the box looks like. Let's sit down and talk about it. Oh, I got my butt wet. Ah! This right here is their box. The box without coping. There's half a coping, but they're missing the top coping. It's very strange, I know. Also, another thing, when I stand up, look how short it is. It's like ankle height, which makes it very unproductive for, you know, trying to learn how to skate a box. It needs to be like just a little bit taller and have coping. That would be nice. Now you're gonna say, oh, there's this height, right? Let's show you this. Let's show you how much taller this is. I'm about 5'9". This is about knee height on me, as you can see. This is already kind of challenging for me, someone who's been skating for 10 plus years, to get onto. Maybe not for others. For others, it's pretty easy to get onto. But it's not like your everyday skater height box. They need a box that's like between these two heights, and they kind of blew it there. And tell you the truth, people just use this as like a manual pad. I'll show you the other side of it so you can see how wide it is. You can see how wide it is here, so I guess it's great for manuals, but when you do those slide manuals where you switch to the other side, I've seen people slip out and fall back. So it's not the greatest for that. So that's why when I'm here, I like to skate this rail. Let's show you the rail. So you can see on either side of me, there's a round rail here and there's a square rail. And that's great. This is the best part about the whole park. I know, it's wild. They've got a little short rail. This is pretty typical for skate parks. And then one like a little bit under knee height, which is great for even just like someone like myself who's been skating for a while. And you can even skate this one till you're able to skate that one. It just kind of flows right through. And then they have a perfect height flat bar that's kind of like the Element flat bar rail that beginners get to practice. We'll bring you over to that and show you. One of the things, aside from sitting on this rail and getting my butt wet, that I like about it, I don't like getting my butt wet, is that it's actually a good width and a good height, but there is one small little caveat to this square rail that kind of bugs me, and I think it's honestly one of the weirdest features about this park. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, and the ramp's even falling apart while I'm talking about it. Let's show you. You can kind of see it from this angle. They have the quarter pipe there, and then they have the rail right there. Now, while they might look far apart in this, they're really not that far apart, so by the time you turn around and it's already quick, small quarter pipe, you're already having to hit the rail, and then let me show you the ramp on the other side. Here's the kicker that leads over just to this rail. Now, the round rail does not have any kicker, so you kind of have your freedom, and this whole area in general is kind of where I do a lot of my flat ground practice. I mean, I'll show you this area right in front of me. There's kind of like a dead zone that's fun. As you might notice, this kicker just kind of goes off into nowhere. And I kind of found that very strange. I guess they kept it small because it's a kind of small area to work with, but I think this could have been laid out a little better. They could have done something to improve it, because while I do think this like small area, so to speak, is going to be good for beginners, I think, you know, they can practice a rail trick, maybe get like a mani trick, but again, it's all slippery, so that box is just kind of, it's hesitant. It's not the greatest to skate. I like to be positive about stuff, but I've just been hurt here too many times. So I just avoid this park. It stinks. This is usually where I get in my flat ground tricks, in this area that's right next to this kicker. Hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Glen Ellyn Skatepark. If you plan on coming here, tread with caution. I would say you might slip out, so plan on slipping out on the ramps unless they put skate light down or another material. As for 2024 in February, that's what this is. Also, I would say that maybe if you're really good and you like the slick and the slippery ramps, then this might be the park for you. If you maybe just want to hit a quick square rail or round rail and just screw around with that, and it's all you got, you know, you can't travel too far, then yeah, maybe this is the place for you. But other than that, I'd recommend literally any other skate park, preferably a Spawn Ranch park. I think they do a really great job, in my personal opinion. That's subject to everyone else's opinion as well. So forgot to give this park a rating. I give it a 3 out of 10. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. More content like this will be coming in the near future, so if you enjoy skate park reviews and want to know what's going on in the local Chicagoland area, hit that subscribe button, because that's what we're talking about here. And if you want more skate edits or whatever else you want to see on my channel, let me know. And I will be putting this on TikTok too, so at WilMax95 on TikTok and Instagram. That is WILMAX95, and that is where I post skate park reviews as well online. So if you guys enjoy this content, let me know. Hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.